Hello. Um, it's been a while since I went ahead and posted a video. Initially, that was because I wanted to figure out a way to save the last video that cut off abruptly. It had so much good material in it that I did not want to try to replicate it. So, I kept on trying to think of a way to save it, and honestly, there wasn't enough left to say in that video were to um, make another video about. Just that there were a lot of similarities between the topics mentioned and wrap things up. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of a don't you hate it when things end unexpectedly, like a failed relationship almost, but in video form as proof of the unforeseeable, uncontrollable factors that make life what it is. So rather than trying to save it any further, we are just going to roll with it. um, Another reason why I haven't gotten around to a video for a while is because of the fact that I have been um, busy with work. I've been busy with personal issues, and I've been trying to find time to just sit back, relax. Um, it's really, really important. If you have DDD, um, you've got to relax. I'm going to actually try to make this video a little bit about what I've learned. Because I know I've been hinting at, releasing a video in the future. The other things I want to cover keep on coming up. But this video is going to have a lot to do with what I've been teasing at with what I've learned about DDD progression. Basically, one of the things that I've learned, initially I thought that maybe it was kind of like a losing battle at a certain point because um, there'd be such a huge disparity, sorry, dyslexia, a huge disparity between the age of the suppressed personality and the age of the more dominant personality or personalities. Um, and that essentially that would put you in a boat where you just didn't have a way of catching up. Um, I've said for a number of years the greatest strength of mankind, for good and for bad, is that if we set our sights on one thing and only one thing, we have a history of making seemingly impossible things happen. An example of this being good is our lunar program. When Kennedy said we were going to have a man on the moon in like however much time that was, I'm not a big buff on it, but there was no reason to back. There was no evidence to back that we would ever be able to make that mission happen. And then when Kennedy was assassinated, it was almost like, well, there went that. But then something miraculous happened, and a whole bunch of people made it their priority to see this man's vision come to fruition. They decided that as an act of compassion for the life that had been lost, we were going to do whatever it took as a collective to make that lunar landing happen. And not just happen, but happen within the time period he had allotted us. And we made it. We didn't even have a lunar program before that. So it was like, wow. Who would have foreseen that? I mean, that was like literally hailed by many people as impossible. But we made it work. On the negative side, you have people like, I don't even remember his name at this point, but the guy who made a fertilizer bomb blew up the government building in I think it was Oklahoma or something like that. Man, that guy had like, from what I understand, from what I've been read into or told, the guy had like no education. All right, guy had none of the resources that you would expect a person to have in order to pull off a job like that. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the only thing that this guy had was this single-minded focus on achieving that goal of blowing up that building. And you can Google it and find out who was and more about him and more about the incident and what happened. But ultimately, that singular focus allowed him to make a bomb, get it to its destination, and have it go off. And you'd have expected there to have been enough sources, enough opposition, enough security, etc., to stop something like that from ever happening. But he made it through with no help, more or less. And it's just like, how the hell could anyone do that? It is because the greatest strength of mankind is that if we set our minds to one thing and just one thing, to be willing to discard everything else in order to make that one thing happen, we make shit happen. I mean, that's just what we do. So, I've also heard, the book Demon Sermon on Martial Arts, which is misleading because in Japanese culture, pretty much every spirit is considered a demon. I mean, there's maybe some exception to that, but in general, that is what Shintoism dictates, largely. So, this expert swordsman goes into the mountains to talk to the Tengu there, the spirits there, sword master spirits there, to learn how to become a greater swordsman. And one of the things they tell him is, man is a being of movement. If he does not move to what is good, he will surely move to what is bad. Now, what does all this have to do with DDD? Well, what I learned was, if the priority of your core personality and the priority of your supporting personality, such as mine, which is a borderline personality, that I've trained to be a nurturer of that core personality. If the sole purpose of that core personality and supporting personality are to help that core personality mature as best and quickly as possible, in combination, not exclusion, of either one, in order to get to where we're trying to get that core personality, we can make seemingly impossible things happen. And I've seen my core personality grow in a way that, by examining the milestones of its development, I would say I've seen about 5 or 6 years worth of progress in a period of 2 or 3 years. So, and I've been busy as hell because I've had a lot of debt that I've been having to manage. I probably could have done better if I had more resources at hand. So, but I'm limited as to how much time I am able to allocate to excluding everything else from my vision, eliminate every other distraction from my mind, and just bring that child out into this safe environment that allows him to be, and to inject systematically things into that environment that would help him to understand what I've grown to learn as a borderline personality of this world and its ways. And essentially, by creating that environment where good is allowed, where the core personality is allowed that safety to move, and the bad is kind of stripped from that situation, I'm able to bring that personality out and able to work with it within that environment in such a fashion. So, a lot more hope on the horizon with this condition. I am also going to say, since the last time that I made a video, I've come about a whole lot of really major revelations. And I've kind of like to share some of those. So, at least for a while, don't know how long, I'm not going to try to put a date on it. I'm going to start releasing some videos that are going to be real short. Just one topic, then another topic, another video, and try to keep it down to one or two topics per video. And basically, just kind of try to put some of those revelations out there, because I feel like some of them are issues that need to be addressed. Um, it's like, how are we supposed to um, deal with abandonment issues in a society that is constantly abandoning its people? Like, that's just normal in such a casual, cavalier kind of way. Um, and, you know, there are also things that I believe could really help us as far as determining when um, we should be more open to trusting someone, when we shouldn't, why we don't commonly feel like we can and or should, and things we can work on in order to try to make some of that progress as a society. Um, and as individuals. I mean, one of the issues that I want to address is the difference between um, treating people like people and not like subjects, and that's something a vast majority of people seem to get wrong. And the problem is, even if you treat others that way, that's not that mentality isn't restricted to them. It's also how you treat yourself, and so we can learn how to treat ourselves better as well. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video at this point, but that is a topic. There are many, many more that I want to address and will be addressing um, going forward from this, and hopefully some good comes of it. So I will see you guys in the next video, I guess. Take care.